Hello everyone. I'm glad to see you on my channel. The story I'm going to tell you today is pure. It is true that all the bad things that happen in life happen for a reason. It is said that we can appreciate the good things, the things when they happen to us. I hope you enjoy this story. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience.
Sentence. It's a verdict. Miracles don't happen, not with her. They say miracles happen when you believe in them. Veronica was skeptical of these words. She had always been a realist, and these tales of miraculous healing were just fairy tales to her and nothing more. She didn't want to die, and who wants to die at 40? And at 80 she didn't want to die, but she wouldn't know about it because she wouldn't live to be 80 as she had planned. Funny, planned? As if one could plan death. But as they say, it would be funny if it weren't so sad. God only knows how long she has left. Even doctors can't always predict how much time a person with oncology has left. And Veronica has oncology. When she was washing in the shower, she accidentally found a lump in her breast. She knew that at her age there can be diffuse changes in the mammary glands, but cancer. Veronica didn't yet feel that she had this beast living inside her that would soon be tearing her body apart in pain. At the time of the examination, she had no pain. She had not lost weight, and her complexion had not changed like cancer patients. But the results of the puncture were positive. The tumor was malignant, and there were metastases in the axillary lymph node. Veronica was in shock, not panic, but shock that she had to get over and give, or not give consent for the surgery to remove the breast and lymph node. She could not decide to operate, not because she was afraid to lose her breasts. There is nothing to lose, the first size. Even no one will notice the changes with her gorgeous bust. She was afraid of pointless, painful operations, radiation, chemotherapy, the struggle for life, which life is not called life, and the result is one death. Isn't it better to live the rest of your life without the agony of medical intervention? I don't know, Archie said indifferently. It's your breast. You decide what to do with it. Veronica looked at her husband and wondered how she had lived so many years with this infantile man, not even a man, an amoeba in tights with outstretched knees, who hides in her apartment, here on the sofa, and slides off it only to cook some food, eat, go to the toilet, and wash twice a week. He didn't want to work because when he got a job under Veronica's pressure, he was asked to quit after a couple of weeks. Who needs a lazy man who swings rights and forgets his responsibilities? Veronica looked into her husband's indifferent eyes and said, I didn't expect any other answer. You've never, ever taken any responsibility. Do you realize that I will soon die? Veronica flared up. Who will feed you, freak? You're not going to die? Archie said indifferently. People like you don't die early. It's people like you that drive people to their graves. Until I die, you'll live. How many times had Veronica tried to get rid of the leech husband who sucked on her and lived off her? She suddenly realized that before her death, she can do everything that before, for whatever reason, did not allow herself to do, and decided to start it today, right now. Her first wish was to get rid of her shameful husband. Veronica realized that when the disease will progress, it will no longer work, and this irritant Archie, she does not need here. Get up, Veronica shouted, pushing her husband off the couch. Get your things and go to your mother. I don't need you here. I want to die in peace. You're completely mad, Archie said, getting up off the floor. Sick people don't act like that. Is that a reason to put me out on the street? I'm going to call Julia now. That won't do you any good. Call whoever you want, the president himself. You're leaving tonight. Veronica heard him calling Julia and almost crying into the phone. Daughter, I don't know what's going on with my mother. She's ready to kill me if I don't leave her. Apparently, Julie calmed him down and told him that she would soon come to deal with Veronica, because after talking to his daughter, he calmed down and began to pack his things, putting them in his suitcase and travel bag. He always did this when Veronica asked him to leave. He put the suitcases together for extra tragedy, so his daughter could see that he couldn't change anything and was ready to leave. Julia would come and talk her mother out of hurting her father, crying and begging for his pardon. Julia loved her father. Sometimes it seemed to Veronica that she loved him even more than he loved her. Pitied the daughter for this Nakamish. Veronica, watching her daughter suffer, felt sorry for her and put off banishing the lazy man from her apartment. It wouldn't happen today. Today, Archie would definitely be removed to his mom's place. Wow, how many rags bought with my money, Veronica marveled. She shook his things out of the suitcase and bag, and Archie smiled, thinking you was forgiven. The bag and suitcase are mine, and they don't come cheap, Veronica said, so put your belongings in plastic bags or bags. Archie didn't expect that. He had to bring garbage bags from the kitchen and put his things in them. Julia didn't enter the apartment, she flew in. Mommy, you're being a baby, aren't you? What is it again, Mommy? Please calm down. Why would Daddy go out? You've lived together for so many years. You can't be without each other. Veronica looked at her daughter, at her husband. Such fatigue came over her. She was ready to leave everything as it was. But when she thought that she would die next to indifference, the determination in her raged with greater force. Ridiculous, said Veronica. Julia, it's he who can't do without me, because he lives at my expense, and I'll be glad not to see the creature. Mommy, I feel sorry for Daddy. You do? Take him to your house and feel sorry for him all you want, but I've had enough. I've had enough of putting up with him all these years because of you. Now I'm done. Goodbye. Mom, what are you doing? Calm down. Let's talk and come to a reasonable conclusion. Where am I taking Dad? I don't know how Mickey's gonna see it. Take him to his mommy. Let me die in peace. Julia didn't react to her mother's words about dying. She thought it was said in her heart for general tragedy. Take him, Julia, and come back. I need to talk to you. Archie stood dumbfounded by his wife's determination. Well, do I still have to take out your rags? Shouted Veronica. Take your bags and bring them to Julia's car. There will be no mercy, or I'm not responsible for myself. Mom, I don't recognize you. I didn't expect you to do something like this, Julia said, and taking one of the bags with her father's belongings, she said, Come on, Dad, I'll take you to Grandma. When the door closed behind Julia and her husband, Veronica sighed. She opened the window in Archie's room, wanting to get his spirit out. Veronica lay down on the couch that was always occupied by her husband and listened to herself. Her head pounded and her temples squeezed, her hands trembled and fatigue. Such fatigue overcame her. Here are the first signs of illness, Veronica thought, but freedom. The number one irritant had disappeared from her life. She would have lived a new life. She was still young, but it was too late. Even for the young, it was too late. She didn't realize she had dozed off and woke up to the sound of the key turning in the lock. Veronica looked up to see who was entering the room, saw Julia and cried. Mommy, rushed to her daughter. Mommy, is it true? Daddy said you made up that you had cancer, but I don't believe you made it up. I didn't make it up, Veronica said tiredly. I have cancer. I have to have an operation to remove a breast and a lymph node, and then the next stages of treatment, and I don't know whether to agree to it or to live the rest of my life to the fullest. Of course you do, Julia replied and hugged her mother. Of course you do. You have to fight. My poor mommy, you have to fight. I will do everything in my power to make you well. Mommy, I don't understand why you kicked Daddy out. Some kind of support. Julia, can't you see how indifferent he is to everything that happens to me? He doesn't even believe I'm sick. Just for your sake, I put up with him for so many years, and now, when I think that I'll be dying, and this indifferent body will lie here on the couch and stupidly watch TV, sure, in the kitchen and in the toilet. No, Julia, I want to live the rest of my life the way I want to live it. At work, Veronica decided not to tell anyone about her illness. She did not want to be pitied, climbing to her with questions and knowing about her illness, waiting for her to retire from work to take her place. During the surgery, she decided to take a labor leave and 2 weeks off, which had accumulated over 3 years. The boss joked, You, Veronica, have decided to go on a spree, just like the last time. And most likely, the last time, thought Veronica, but the boss, she smiled and said, I decided to go to my mom to the village. She misses me without me, and I need to help her. For Harry, parents, family is sacred. So as soon as he heard about his mother, immediately, without delay, signed Veronica's application. Veronica had worked at the firm of this red-haired Jew or German, but according to her passport, for 17 years and had never asked for a raise. Relative to the other workers in the department, she received the least and was embarrassed to ask for a raise. Veronica was always stopped by her modesty and the fact that this red-headed prick could say that if she was not satisfied, she could quit. This had happened to some employees before, so Veronica was afraid to take the risk, but now she could afford it. She was going to die soon. If now this pot-bellied freak refuses her a raise, she has nothing to lose. She would gladly spit in his fat face. It's too much. She'll just send him to the place where Makar did not chase the cows. She has money, which she has been saving for 4 years for a major repair of the apartment. She doesn't need it now, and if she loses her job, she'll have enough to last her till she dies. Harry, I want to ask you to add to my salary, said Veronica and blushed thickly. The red-haired prick took a wait-and-see attitude and remained silent. I've never asked you to do that, and I'm offended that I've been working for you for so many years, and I get the least. I thought that if you don't ask for a raise, then you are satisfied with such a salary, answered the cunning Jew of German origin. I'm not, and I thought that you should evaluate the labor of your employees. And to ask, everyone asks and whom I value, I add to them. You ask, too, who's stopping you? What an asshole, Veronica thought. I have to fall on my knees and beg him. She decided to be more assertive and, if anything, send him away. Veronica decided not to beg, but to demand. I wish you'd give me a raise after all. How much do you want? The boss asked in a businesslike manner. Veronica decided not to be petty, impudent, so to the end. 25%, she said, and looked into Harry's yellow, greasy eyes. That's quite a grab you've got there, the boss grinned. What? No. Veronica's mouth watered. She wanted to spit in her boss's haughty face, but she couldn't believe what she heard. Good, Veronica, good. Considering that for all the years of your work, I have not increased your salary, I am ready to increase it by 25%. Have a good vacation, Veronica. After your vacation, I'll be waiting for you with renewed vigor. Good day, said the boss, signaling that the audience was over. Jess. As she walked away from Harry, Veronica said to herself, another victory. She spent the rest of the working day in high spirits, and as it was customary in their department, the end of the last working day before vacation, it was customary to make a toast. The men of the department bought alcohol and Veronica ordered delivery of various appetizers. It was Friday, the last day of the week, so the feast lasted until almost 12 at night. Those who didn't drink alcohol left on their own wheels, and those who did ordered a cab. Anthony, can you give me a ride home? Veronica asked the head of her department. I'm in a cab, said Anthony. Well, I'm coming with you. Anthony wanted to say that they were not on their way at all, but did not take offense at the vacationer's refusal. All right, Anthony said, let's go. In the cab, Anthony wanted to sit in the front seat next to the driver, but Veronica suddenly changed to you and said, sit next to me, please. He was a little taken aback by Veronica's request, first the ride home, even though their houses were on opposite sides of town from each other, and now he had to sit next to her. Anthony thought that Veronica had had too much to drink and now decided to get naughty and chose him to do it. But okay, you would put up with these antics. And Veronica had a little too much to drink. She just doesn't have much time and only she knows about it. Even though Anthony is 4 years younger than her and has a young wife who, like her Julia, is 20, Veronica doesn't care about that tonight. She had always dreamed of kissing Anthony. His plump lips beckoned Veronica, especially with her couch duckling. She hadn't kissed him in ages, and she hadn't kissed anyone at all. Now I'll kiss him, and I can die, Veronica thought, and to hell with it, I don't care what he thinks of me. I'll probably never see him again. Walk me to the front door, Veronica said as the cab stopped outside her house. Anthony got out and followed Veronica like a slaughter, doing her antics. Why don't you look alive, Veronica said, turning to face him. Anthony, we're alive. You see, we're still alive. He didn't understand. He didn't understand her at all. He didn't understand what he was doing here, outside her house. Good night, Veronica, he said, and was about to leave. Wait, Veronica said. She came close to him, put her arms around him and kissed him on the lips. He was confused at first, but then he put his arms around Veronica and returned her kiss. They stood there and Veronica could not tear herself away from Veronica's lips. She didn't know how long they would have stood like that, but a cab driver honked at them. Veronica pulled away from Anthony. Thank you for not pushing me away. Goodbye, Anthony. Veronica smiled, opened the door and left. In the morning, she woke up and remembered that Archie wasn't around. The kiss with Anthony had been so sweet, and the red-haired prick hadn't been stingy, had given her a raise. It had all been happiness, if it hadn't been for her illness. Her illness has pushed her to all of this, and she does what she wishes to do. Veronica always wanted to cut her hair short, but her mom was against it and talked her into it. Daughter, you have such beautiful hair, you don't need to cut it off. You are so beautiful, and if you cut your hair short, you will look like a boy. Veronica listened to her mother, but now she listens only to herself. She will go to the salon today and make the shortest and most fashionable haircut, especially if she will do chemotherapy. Her hair will start to fall out, so at least now she will go with a haircut that she always dreamed of. Veronica liked her new haircut very much. It even made her look younger. But on Monday, she was going to go to the oncology center and she decided to prepare the things she would need there. She put everything she needed on the table, and then when she was sure she had everything she needed, she packed it in her gym bag, or maybe she needed to buy something else. She had one more day tomorrow. The doorbell rang, and then there was a loud banging on the door. Julia has a key to the door, Veronica thought. Who could it be? Veronica barely had time to turn the key in the lock, and her mother-in-law flew into the apartment. She looked at her daughter-in-law and asked, "Did you get a haircut?" "Hello to you too, Lucy. Yes, I got a haircut." Veronica wanted to ask her mother-in-law to come into the room, but Lucy didn't need it. She rushed past Veronica and plumped on the sofa that had been sold by her Archie, looked disapprovingly at the table where Veronica had put the hospital supplies, at the travel bag under the table. She waved her mother-in-law's head in the direction of the table. "To the resort, to the oncology center." "Veronica, I didn't come here to argue with you. Let's talk as woman to woman, as mother to mother." "I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you that I'm going to the oncology center for surgery. That cancer legend is for Archie. I, as a woman, understand you. My son is not super macho, and you're a young woman, and you need some colorful impressions, and you could go to your resort. But why throw Archie out like an unnecessary rag to me, to an old, sick woman? Veronica, I can't handle him." "And he is a rag," Veronica replied calmly. "I've been pulling him for so many years, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm sick, and soon I won't be able to work, and I won't be able to afford him. And then I don't want to tolerate his presence when I'm lying here helpless, dying." Her mother-in-law sighed and looked at Veronica incredulously. Her throat was dry. "God, what's going on?" Lucy said tiredly. "Would you like some tea?" Veronica asked. "Yes, with pleasure," replied her mother-in-law. "I haven't had a dewdrop in my mouth today. I'm all nervous." They went into the kitchen. Veronica put the kettle on the stove and took out a Napoleon cake and eclairs from the refrigerator. "Wow," exclaimed Lucy, "as soon as you sent your husband away, so you started to buy different delicious things." "I can afford it. Everything that I used to forbid myself, now I allow everything. There's no point in saving my figure, my health. I'm going to die soon, so my last months and days, I want to enjoy life." The mother-in-law didn't seem to hear Veronica. She kept blowing her own horn. "So you used Archie, and now you don't need him?" Sipping her tea, the mother-in-law said. "It was he who used me all my life." "Enjoying eclairs," replied Veronica. "And how did I use him?" "I don't understand." "Who's your daughter by?" "Julia is Archie's." "What am I wrong?" "That's all I took advantage of. It could have been any other man. You can take advantage of anyone and not have to carry him around for the rest of your life." "Veronica, a lot of women don't even have a husband like Archie. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he cooks. He even brings you slippers when you come home from work. I've seen it. Don't tell." Suddenly, the mother-in-law's tone got a little high. "It would be better if he did not bring me slippers and the salary," Veronica parried. "And what he cooks, it is the same and eats. I do not eat his cooking, and he cooks with food bought with my money. I can see we're not gonna come to an agreement. You won't give Archie back." "No," Veronica said firmly. "Have pity on me, Veronica. Who's gonna feel sorry for me? Can you hear me? I may be dead soon." Her mother-in-law looked at her incredulously and said, "Well, if you're dying anyway, what do you care who lives in your apartment? Let Archie live." Veronica raised her eyebrows in surprise. "I don't need him here. And even if he lives here after I'm dead, what will he live on? You want me to pin this bum on Julia?" "It's all right," she's his daughter. "Children are supposed to help their parents. Let him help you. He's your son. Or maybe you'll die and he'll find a decent woman," my mother-in-law said snidely. "Not enough decent women in my apartment for Julia to fight with. I've already filed for divorce, and he, after my death, in this apartment will be nobody and his name will be nothing. Julia and my mom are the only heirs. And then if I died, if Julia wants to let him live here, it's her right. But now, I have no time." Veronica stood up, letting her mother-in-law know that the conversation with her was over. She went into the hallway and opened the front door. "God will judge you," said her mother-in-law as she walked away. God is the judge of all, Veronica replied. Lucy took the elevator down and met Julia at the entrance. Hi, Grandma, Julia said and kissed Lucy on the cheek. Granddaughter, Lucy wailed, what's going on? What is your mother doing? They're going to put me and your father in the grave. You should talk to her so she can bring your father home. What am I going to do with him? We won't survive on my pension. I already talked to my mom, Grandma. She doesn't want to hear about it. Maybe she'll come home from the hospital and soften up. Then I'll talk to her. So she says she's already filed for divorce. I didn't know, Julia replied. Maybe Dad will realize that you can't live on your pension and go to work. I don't believe that, Lucy waved her hand hopelessly. But does she really have cancer? Or is that just to make up a reason to get rid of Archie? Mom's sick. Granny, is that the sort of thing you joke about? Jokes like that can get you in trouble. Oh, whoa. Woe on all sides, sighed Lucy. Maybe Veronica has metastasized into her head and doesn't know what she's doing. No, Grandma, Julia frowned. What are you talking about? Julia, why don't you take your father in? Your husband has a huge house, 2 floors, your father. Grandma, is he a thing or an invalid or a senile old man to take him in? He's 42 years old, quite an independent man. I can't do it, Grandma, Mickey's against it. I asked Mickey, and he said, what do I need your bum daddy for? He's got a job to do, and he's gonna be squeezing my couch. Grandma, I'm pregnant. I'm gonna be dependent on Mickey, and I'm gonna put my dad on his back. He's got a big house, and he's rich because he works day and night, and he knows the value of his money, and he doesn't like bumps, so there's no way around it. Well, no judgment, said Lucy, offended. Maybe I'll find some woman for him. Men are in short supply nowadays, so I'll be a grandmother soon. Lucy smiled. Yes, Grandma. I didn't tell my mother that I was pregnant, and now I don't know whether to tell her or not. Maybe she'll be waiting and won't wait for the baby. I must say, you can't hide your belly, but it's not noticeable now. I want to tell you, granddaughter, if Veronica knows that she will soon have a grandson or granddaughter, maybe she will have such a desire to live that she will try to survive to see the baby and live longer. I'll go. Archie's waiting for me with news, and I have no news for him. Wait, Grandma, get in the car. Let me take you home and then I'll go to my mom. Take me home, granddaughter. Please take me home. I'm exhausted. After seeing her mother-in-law off, Veronica lay down to rest. She began to get tired quickly, which she had not noticed before. All the same disease, despite any external manifestations, lives in her and a little by little does its evil work. Veronica tried not to give in to panic, to keep herself in control, but when it is like this, as she is now lying down and not busy, then Mrs. Panic begins to impose her friendship. She wanted to live, but black thoughts crept into her head to end at once both life and illness, and not to live days filled with pain and expectation of death, not to torment her loved ones with her fading, and not to be tormented herself. The phone rang. Mom popped up on the phone screen. The phone rang, and Veronica gathered her strength not to cry and not to tell her mother about her illness before the time. She decided to tell her later, when it would be impossible to hide it any longer. Veronica heard her mother's voice. Thank God, but I'm worried. You didn't answer my call, and I was afraid that something had happened. I'm so worried. I've been walking around all day. Daughter, don't hide it. Tell me if you're okay. Veronica was ready to burst into tears, but she took a deep breath, coughed, expelling the lump in her throat, and said as cheerfully as possible, We're fine, except that I've kicked Archie out to Lucy, and I'm divorcing him. But that, I think, is wonderful news. Well, Anna said, confusedly, it's high time, but what is it, my daughter? Your voice is so... I can't explain it. Are you sick, Veronica? Veronica wanted to shout at the top of her voice. Mom, I'm sick. I'm afraid. But she understood that you cannot do that. Mom is alone there, 300 kilometers away from Veronica, and hearing such news, it is not known how her heart will react. Although Veronica's mom is young, she is only 60 years old, but her heart is already racing. 20 and 20, that's the age difference between Veronica and her mom, and Veronica and Julia. All 3 of them had early marriages, and they often joked about it, saying it was hereditary. No, Mommy, I'm not sick, Veronica answered. I was tidying up the apartment. I was tired. I lay down and dozed off, and you called. That's the sound of sleep. Well, thank God, said Anna. Tomorrow is a big service in our church. I'll go pray for you, for your health. It's all the same. It's like I have a bad premonition. I get like that, but after I've been to church, it's like a stone falls from my soul. If it were as simple as Mom says, Veronica thought I would pray day and night to live, and said to her mom, "Pray for us sinners, Mommy. Pray for me, dear," and tears rolled from Veronica's eyes. Mommy, there's something wrong with the connection. There's some crackling. I can't hear anything. Goodbye, Mommy." Veronica shouted into the phone, pressed disconnect, and burst into tears in her voice, spilling out the pain of her soul, despair, tension. She didn't hear Julia come in. "Mommy," shouted Julia, ran into the room, hugged Veronica, pressed her tightly to herself. "Mommy, come on. Calm down," stroked Veronica's back with her daughter. "Julia, I'm scared, my daughter." "Mommy, you have to believe in the best. Think about the good things, that the operation will be successful, that you will live a long time, and you just have to live to see your grandchildren, to walk with them in the park, to buy them toys, to be happy. Me, Mickey, and I are having a baby. I'm pregnant, Mom." "My daughter, my little woman, my little girl," cried Veronica. "How frustrating to die when life is just beginning. Everything seems to be getting better in my life now, and you are happy with Mickey, and soon you will have a baby. My grandson or granddaughter, is it time for me to die? Julia, I haven't really lived. I thought I'd have time to get my life in order and live happily, but I haven't. I've gotten my life in order, but I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, my daughter, that I put my pain on your shoulders. I have no one to say it to. You're my daughter and you're my closest friend. Mom, I don't believe you're going to die. I just don't believe it. You should also believe that the operation will be successful and you will live a long time and be happy, because you said yourself that you have just started to live the life you want. I don't believe in miracles. I want to tell you, Julia, never put off what you want to do now. Later may not happen, and as I noticed, Veronica smiled bitterly. There is no time left for that later. Leska, Veronica said, suddenly lively and happy. I've had eclairs and Napoleons. I have already fed Lucy with these delicious things, and I suggest that you go to the kitchen and eat these pastry delights with me. When Mom talks to Julia like this, she doesn't seem sick at all. Mommy's mood swings are very understandable to Julia. Mom is both afraid and in a hurry to live, afraid that the disease will break her morale, and so she tries to laugh in the face of this terrible disease. I'd love to, Mom. You know how much I love these things, don't you? What about your figure? Julia said, and regretted that the words had come out of her mouth. What do I need my figure for now? Said Veronica, laughing. My figure is in no danger. When the cancer takes full root all over my body, it will start eating me and what I eat, and I will start to lose weight intensively. In the meantime, it's a feast for the world, and Veronica pulls sweets out of the fridge. That evening, Anthony called. Hi, Veronica, how are you? Hi, what do you mean? How am I? Anthony had never called her before, and she was a bit surprised. Well, yesterday, Anthony was quiet for a while and added to his silence. I thought you had something going on. Huh. You mean the kiss? Veronica said as indifferently as possible. I've had a drink. I've been wanting to kiss you for a long time, and now I'm on vacation, and I was hoping that you'd forget about it and we'd continue to work on Harry's behalf. Anthony didn't like Veronica's jokingly bravado tone. She never talked like that to anyone. Veronica, let's meet and talk. Right now you're talking and it's like it's not you. I feel like you need help, and if I can, maybe I can do something to help you. You were in the chief's office a long time yesterday. Maybe he had something to show you. So you tell me. I can stand up for the people of my department, especially for people like you. I can go to Solomon and stand up for you. Veronica wanted to shout, no one can help me now. But she did. On the contrary, Harry appreciated my many years of labor and added to my salary, of course at my request. But still, Anthony, I don't mind meeting you, but only to repeat our kiss. But don't save me. I would kiss you and kiss you and kiss you. You're a great kisser. I'll tell you, your wife's a lucky girl. Veronica, don't talk about your wife, and I can hear the pain in your joking tone. Maybe Archie's doing some tricks in there. No, Archie's not doing anything. I threw him out at his mom's address. Are you worried? What's that? I'm happy, and I wish I'd done it sooner. Veronica, I'm coming over to see you. I want to see you and talk to you and make sure you're okay. Okay, come over and make out. Veronica was kidding, or was she? Anthony arrived with a bottle of cognac and various appetizers. Shall we party? Veronica asked jokingly. I think you need a drink to relax and tell me everything you have going on. What if I get drunk like yesterday and kiss you? Veronica flirted. I'll get over it somehow, Anthony joked. Veronica drank cognac with pleasure in the company of a handsome man she liked and tried to forget about her illness at least for a while. Anthony was also drinking cognac and trying to challenge Veronica to frankness. Hell no, I'll confess to you, Anthony said. Anthony, have you signed up to be a priest? I look at you and all I can think about is how to merge with you in a kiss, and you're giving me soul-saving speeches. Veronica sat on Anthony's lap and kissed him. Anthony couldn't stand such a passionate kiss and gave in to Veronica. Their kiss grew into wanting more, and they had everything a man and woman are made for. Veronica hadn't had intimacy with a man in a long time. Archie as a man for her, long ago deflated and on the side to go all the way to. And today, she gave herself to Veronica, or did she take Anthony? It's impossible to figure out now, and she wasn't going to figure it out. She received a caress she hadn't had in ages and her conscience was silent. Veronica knew that this intimacy with Anthony was the first and the last, and that it did not threaten the family life of Anthony Danilovich. Veronica would die, and Anthony would live happily ever after with his young wife. Don't sleep, Veronica, we're waking up. Veronica heard a voice that made her sick. Her eyelids were so heavy that she was unable to open her eyes. Veronica, open your eyes. We're awake, we have to wake up. She didn't want to open her eyes. She really wanted to sleep, and suddenly she heard her mother's voice from far away. Veronica, my daughter, wake up. Mom, said Veronica. She couldn't help but listen to her mom. She couldn't worry her, and no matter how hard it was for her to open her eyes, she opened them. Good girl, praised her anesthesiologist. It's time to wake up. The operation was successful. You just need to wake up and do not let me down. Mom, said Veronica, where's Mom? Mom's not here, it's just me and the nurse for now. I heard my mom calling me. It happens, said the anesthesiologist. It's the anesthesia playing tricks on you. Not only can you hear voices of people who aren't with you, but you can pick up odors that don't exist. It smells so strongly of coffee, such an aroma, Veronica said in a weak voice. This is what I was just talking about. This is an intensive care ward, and coffee odor is out of the question. In a few hours, you will be taken down to the general ward, and now rest, but do not sleep, smiled the anesthesiologist. I forbid you to sleep. Not only eyelids, but the whole body was heavy. There was a fog in her head, which did not let Veronica understand what was happening to her and why it was happening to her. Veronica did not feel pain. She felt tired and wanted to sleep. The doctor said to stay awake. She began to come to her senses and realize why she was here. Now, she wanted to fall asleep and never wake up, but she could not disobey her mother who called her and let the anesthesiologist say that it is a joke of anesthesia. But Veronica is sure that her mother feels her from hundreds of kilometers away, and she can hear her mother from the same hundreds of kilometers away. Breasts, her breasts, are they there or are they not? Veronica could feel her breasts. Rather, her breasts had been preserved, though it was impossible to tell under the bandage, especially with her first size, and the fact that Veronica could feel her breasts was something she had heard of. A person's leg is amputated and he feels it. They say it's called the phantom. The doctor said the surgery was a success. What's that? Successfully removed everything, and now it's just another therapy. Or is it successful that Veronica's breasts were preserved and it's not cancer? I wanted to believe in miracles, but Veronica is a realist, and all the tests before the operation and all the punctures confirmed this terrible disease. 6 hours later, Veronica was taken down to the general ward where Julia and Mickey were waiting. Mommy, how are you? Veronica didn't like her daughter's anxiety. Julia's pregnant and she shouldn't be worried. I'm at my best, Veronica said cheerfully. They said the operation was a success, but I don't know how successful it was. The surgeon who is taking you home has already left, and we will know everything only tomorrow. Veronica, I offer you a private room. I'll pay for it. My son-in-law offered. It's very comfortable. Are you okay? Will you accept my help? Thanks, Mickey. This is one of those times when I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. I'll be here with others like me. It's like we've got each other's backs. I'm in the same boat as them. Thanks, Mickey. Julia, I told you not to tell my mom about my illness. Mom, I'm not talking, and I'll stay quiet as long as I have to. What kind of question is that all of a sudden? Just a reminder. She's alone out there. I'm afraid for her. In the morning, when Veronica woke up, she heard, "In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen." The woman lying at the window was praying, asking the higher powers for help. "Do you think your God hears you?" Veronica's neighbor, a woman, sarcastically said, "He'd allow what is happening to us now. Your God won't help you and doctors won't help you. We'll all die. This disease doesn't spare anyone. If your God allows children to die of cancer, what to say about us, sinners?" "God is merciful," answered the praying woman, "and to be heard, one must pray and ask him for his mercy. They have fooled their heads with God, and now, as they say, they trust in him." The evil woman did not stop. And here we are, believers and non-believers, we are all here, waiting for death. About death, it's as the Lord gives, said the praying woman humbly. He has a lot of us sinners, and to be heard, you have to believe in the miracle of prayer and ask for help from the heart. "Can you pray for me?" Veronica asked. "Excuse me, what is your name?" "My name is Ariana." "What's your name?" "I'm Veronica, Veronica." "I'm going to ask God for you, and I'm asking for everyone in the ward. I pray and ask." "You don't have to ask for me," said Veronica's neighbor. "I don't believe in this fairy tale. We'll die anyway. And for you, Cecilia, I ask that you believe in God, that if you leave this world, then with a light heart, with humility, without malice, and when you stand before God, receive his forgiveness and peace of mind." Cecilia hummed unhappily, but did not argue with Ariana any further. "And you, Veronica, you can pray for yourself." Ariana turned to Veronica. "No, I will certainly mention you in my prayers." "I don't know any prayers," Veronica confessed. "As soon as the rooster pecks in one place, they think of God," Cecilia said angrily. "And you pray with your own words, not paying attention to Cecilia," continued Ariana. "That's what you feel, that's what you say. The main thing is that these words were from a pure heart, from the soul." "Clean heart, funny," said Cecilia. "You first wash your hearts and souls from the dirt you have accumulated during your life, and then from a pure heart. For your pure hearts your God has given you this disease and me along with you." "But what is God-fearing Ariana doing here with us? If she is pure and blameless?" "The Lord gives me a trial and I bear it. I do not grumble and ask him to soften this trial." Cecilia wanted to insert some other wicked remark, but Veronica stopped her. "Cecilia, don't be so angry. People here are already on edge, and people leave faith, and I realize that only now. And otherwise, how to live? How to survive?" "You still hope to survive." Cecilia smiled wryly. "I hope," Veronica said sincerely, "and you hope, if you decided to have the operation. What's hope without hope?" And Cecilia suddenly cried, which no one expected her to do. "I hope," she said. "I don't know what or who, but I hope. I can't be the bedridden patient. There's no one to look after me and no money for nurses. I live with my alcoholic son. He takes all my money and drinks it all away. I must either get well or die at once. There's no other way. Good for you, Veronica. You have a decent daughter and a son-in-law who's not poor. You'll die like a human being." All 5 people in the ward fell silent. Each thought about his own, and just ready to strangle Cecilia for her filthy language, now pitied her. The surgeon who had been in charge of the ward and who had operated on Veronica came in. "The operation was, I think, successful," the doctor said. "The breast was removed with skin grafting and the axillary lymph node was removed. Now we're going to use radio beams. This will help to stop the progression of the disease, improve your quality of life, and make your life fuller for a while." "For how long? For how long?" Even doctors can't predict that. A full life, what does he mean? No breast, thinking that the outcome is one, it's inevitable, and Veronica's life is on the line? Is that a full life? Veronica realized that the surgeon here has seen everything, so he says it so calmly, so judiciously. What did she want? It's his job, he does it on his conscience, and emotions are not allowed to surgeons. Emotions are for therapists, or God. The therapist doesn't care about Veronica's illness either, he's just doing his job. But God? Veronica saw how serene Ariana was acting, so God was helping her, and Veronica decided to turn to God. "Lord, hear me. I beg you, Lord," whispered Veronica. "I beg you to heal me. I want to live, to enjoy life, to enjoy my grandchildren. Please forgive me for my sins. I'm ready to bear the trials. Just let me live." Amen. Anthony called Veronica several times a day, but she didn't care for him. What does he want? Thought Veronica. I told you I won't confess to him. His wife is at home, so talk to her. We made a mistake. We gave in to the attraction. But now what? I just want to get out of this. That's all I want. Anthony called Veronica several times a day, but she had no time to talk to him. But today she could answer, and she even wanted to answer. After all, it's not like she's going to make out with him or anything. Now Veronica is in sickness and in prayer, so she realizes that she sinned with a married man. Now it is excluded. She will not be tempted. And what temptation? She's in the hospital now. Hi Veronica, I finally got through to you, Anthony said with a reproachful tone of voice, and you didn't answer my calls? I'm your boss. What if I had a work-related question? Anthony was trying to be funny. I'm on vacation, Anthony, and I didn't want anything to remind me of work. I came by your house, but you wouldn't open the door. Do I disgust you that much? At another time, Veronica would have told him that he was so nice to her that she didn't recognize herself, and maybe she was even in love with him, but she replied, well, I'm on vacation and I don't have to be at home. I'm at my mom's in the country. Veronica lied. When you get there, let me know. Why? Because, Anthony said, because I want to see you. Why do you want to see me? Veronica was angry with both Anthony and herself for some reason. Anthony, because he reminded her of herself, and herself because she wanted to see him too. I don't know yet, but I'd like to see him. I'll come back to work after my vacation, and then you'll see enough of me to make you tired of looking at me. That's a joke, Anthony said. Veronica, you just don't disappear anywhere. Answer my calls. If I can't see you, at least don't deny me the pleasure of hearing you. Okay, I'll answer it. I don't think we can do anything on the phone that we've already done with you. Too bad we can't do it over the phone, Anthony said, and I'd like to do something with you. Screw you. And Veronica hung up. Veronica, my daughter. Anna came into the room and rushed to hug Veronica. Mommy, Veronica cried. How are you here? Why? How did you know? My heart felt that something had happened, cried Anna. How come, my daughter? Why am I the last to know about everything? I didn't want to worry you before the time, Mom. Don't cry, Mom. Don't cry. I'll live a good quality life. The doctor said so. After the hospital, I'll come to you, stay with you. I have a long vacation, and then I'll go to work. Can you work? Anna asked. Not allowed, but necessary. My arms, legs, and brains are intact, smiled Veronica, and I don't need anything else for my work. Did Julia tell you I was sick? Veronica asked. No. Lucy called with claims that Andrew's show was imposed on her. Said that you are sick, and if you do such twists and turns, then most likely metastasis has already damaged the brain. You don't value your husband, you threw him out, and that he might be useful to you when you go to bed. And Anna cried again. Mama, don't listen to her. I've never had any use for him anywhere. I've barely tolerated him, and that was for Julia's sake. That old gossip. I'm sick now, and I don't want to stand it, and I'm sick of feeding it. I'll never go to bed. I'll live. I'll live despite all my detractors. Veronica, my daughter, what are you saying? Don't be so nervous. You mustn't be nervous. You mustn't live to spite someone. Live to please yourself and Julia and me, and remember we're always there for you and always ready to help you. And I'm not going home until you're discharged. We'll go together. Julia will drive us. I'll stay with Julia and Mickey until you're discharged. Mom, here are the keys to my apartment. You'll get tired of them. You stay with me, and I'll get better soon, Mom. I'm tough, smiled Veronica. I'm so glad you're with me now. That's it, Mommy. Go on. You'll be on your round soon. What an injustice, said Cecilia. A daughter should die before her mother. It's not right. Children should bury their parents, not the other way around. Everyone in the ward looked disapprovingly at Cecilia, and Veronica replied, and who says I'm going to die now? Or maybe I'll live and live. Things happen. Sometimes the disease recedes. These are such miracles. Only fools believe in such miracles, and such blessed as Arianka. Cecilia was angry. I didn't believe it either, but now I do. Veronica said firmly, I believe it and that's it. I'll live. Despite Veronica's confidence, the disease reminded her of itself with nausea, and she ran to the bathroom, so much so that she vomited. Cecilia asked snidely when Veronica returned to the room, It's only the beginning. This thing that lives in us is alive, and if the doctors cannot cope with it, then only miracles and hope. I'm speaking here and everyone hates me for it, but I'm hoping for a miracle. I'm scared. What are you saying, Cecilia? Said Ariana. We understand that you're nervous. What kind of hatred? Why should we hate you? Hate is a sin. Save and keep us, Lord. During her rounds, Veronica complained to the doctor about nausea and dizziness. What do you want? Replied the doctor, postoperative period, radiation therapy, plus stress. It's a load on the body. All this period runs differently, so you first of all need to calm down and be ready for different reactions of your body. After discharge, it is desirable to strengthen immunity fresh air, preferably countryside, but the sun exclude, and you need to use quality products, not from supermarkets and home. Then all these reactions will go away, and they will be observed and hope only for good. After discharge, I'll go to my mom in the village. That's good. That's exactly what I was telling you. It was so nice at my mom's village. The air was so good that you couldn't breathe. It was quiet and you slept well, and there was nothing to say about the food that she and my mother bought from the villagers. Is it possible to compare them with those bought in the supermarket? Veronica's appetite was excellent, and she was surprised at her own appetite. Veronica thought she would lose her appetite and sleep, but no. The doctor was right. The countryside was good for her. The nausea was bothering her, but she put up with it. The doctor said that the road to recovery was long, and she understood that. Veronica continued to pray and learned several prayers, and now the morning began with a prayer at the icon of the Holy Mother of God, and the day ended with a prayer. Her prayers calmed her and gave her hope for recovery. In the evenings, when the sun went behind the horizon, Veronica went out to the vegetable garden and slowly and with pleasure worked on the beds. Daughter, don't? Anna asked. I'll do it myself. Take care, Veronica. Mom, you can't imagine how pleasant it is for me to dig here. Even the buzzing of mosquitoes feels good. I feel alive. Look how beautiful the sunset is, Mom, and I never noticed it before. It's all so bright now, it makes me want to live, Mom. Veronica had to go to work in a week, but the nausea wouldn't go away. She came back from the village and had an unscheduled appointment with an oncologist. She wanted to find out the cause of the nausea as soon as possible. She paid for express tests, and the doctor told her, "Things are going pretty well. The test results are great, but it's too early to tell. It's been a while. I believe that you have nausea for another reason, and therefore I will appoint you a checkup with other specialists and in the district polyclinic where you live." Pregnancy 6-7 weeks, said the gynecologist, more precisely will show the ultrasound. Anything bothering you? Veronica listened to the doctor, and it seemed that it was not her, but someone else. Is she pregnant? It's happening now, and it's happening to her from one casual sex with Anthony. It can't be. It just can't. It's too much for her. I said, "There's something bothering you." The doctor brought her back to reality. Nausea, Veronica said, confused. I have cancer. I've had surgery. I've been receiving rays. Now what? Now you need to take all the tests and decide for yourself what to do with your pregnancy. I'll give you my opinion and the medical opinion. In rare cases, women with cancer who have received radiation have sick babies. Sick babies are born to healthy parents, so it's up to you to decide whether or not to have a baby. Veronica got a pile of papers for all kinds of tests for pregnant women, came out of the doctor's office and sat down on the couch. Such news knocked the ground out from under her feet. She couldn't think, she couldn't go, and she had to go. Today she had an ultrasound in 2 hours and an appointment with the therapist. Good thing the clinic was close to her house. She got home and collapsed on her bed. Despite such overwhelming news, Veronica fell asleep. She wanted to sleep all the time now. Here, look. Pointing to the screen of the ultrasound machine, the doctor said with a smile, "Here is your baby, very tiny. You can't even call it a baby. But there is life in this tiny dot. So far, so good. How do you feel about keeping the baby?" "I don't know," Veronica answered. "I have oncology." Of course, everyone has different situations in life, but if the child's father is on top, and it happens, a woman gives birth and the disease recedes, gives a chance to raise a child, and it happens that a woman becomes healthy as if she had no disease. Motherhood does wonders. I had my breast removed. I had radiation. It's nothing. A very small percentage of children are born with abnormalities after radiation therapy, and you'll be under our care and the oncologist's care. So have the baby. What if I die soon? I have cancer, Veronica repeated. Maybe the doctor didn't hear her. Women give birth when they are absolutely not allowed to give birth and risk their lives and still give birth, and it happens that the mother is healthy and the pregnancy goes normally. but something went wrong. Either way, the woman is taking a risk. The baby's father, the ultrasound doctor, said. Veronica didn't even think about him now, but now she thinks. I wonder, if I tell him about the pregnancy, what will he say to me? Legally, I'm still Archie's wife, and there will be no questions at work. The divorce is at the end of this week, and thank God, because when Archie finds out about the pregnancy, he'll start pushing me around. Although if he does, he'll be liable for child support. It's my baby, it's mine, and nobody else's. And I decided to keep it. But I've got cancer, and I'm probably gonna die soon. Who's the baby for? Julia? Mom's out of the question. We'll have to tell Anthony Danilovich, the father, about the pregnancy. We have to get his opinion after all. The baby is his too. What will I tell my mom, Julia? If I give birth to a child at this age, and with such a terrible disease, that's for sure, they will consider it, as my mother-in-law says, as an outrage. The more Veronica thought about the child, the more she wanted to give birth to it, and abortion is a big sin. And she prayed, asking God and the Holy Mother of God for health. And suddenly abortion. In doubt, she called Ariana. Paula, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. I'll give birth and die and the child will be an orphan, and I'm afraid to think about abortion. Abortion is a sin, said Ariana. I'm afraid to even think about it. No. If I were pregnant, I wouldn't take the baby's life. If God decided to make you a mother, it's the right thing to do. It's a test. No, Veronica, and no more. Just have the baby. Ariana's words gave Veronica strength that she was on the right path. Her child must live. And then, as Ariana said, God willing. I won't tell my mom yet. It's too much for her right now. She hasn't quite gotten over the news of my illness. I'll tell her later, when it's impossible to hide it, but I'll tell the father. Everyone at work complimented Veronica, her new hairstyle, her fresher look, but of course it was a lie. But Veronica smiled and thanked everyone for the compliments. Hi, Veronica. Anthony approached her. I'm offended. Why did you answer the phone? My mom has a bad connection in the village, said Veronica, and thought to herself, and our connection with you has led to this. Are you all right? Anthony asked. I couldn't be better. Anthony, I need to talk to you, but not here, not at work. I'd love to come over after work. No, Veronica said, not at my house. Anthony, this is a serious conversation, and I don't want to joke around. When you find out, you won't be joking either. I'm not joking, I'm serious, smiled the satisfied Anthony. Why are you so happy? Veronica was angry. Satisfied to see you and that you're sending me up on a date. It's not a date, Anthony, it's more of a business meeting. We can talk business here, Anthony laughed, but this is a real date and I'm happy about it. That's enough, Veronica stopped Anthony's flurry. After work, but so that colleagues do not suspect anything, we leave separately and immediately eat on the next street in the Cafe Stork. Cafe Stork, how symbolic, Veronica thought. I like this game of spies, smiled Anthony, and leaning to Veronica's ear, whispered, Thank you, Stork. Thank you, Bird. It had to happen. That's enough, Veronica said sternly. This is getting out of line, and added snidely, I'll see how grateful you'll be to that stork when you find out. Anthony was waiting for Veronica at the cafe. He ordered champagne, fruit, chocolates, and coffee, which he sipped with pleasure while waiting for Veronica. How pleasant, after a hard day's work, to sit in a pleasant place, drink delicious coffee, and wait for a beautiful woman he liked. To top it all off, Anthony had ordered flowers and the tulips would be delivered any minute now. He knew that Veronica has a birthday in the spring, and she always gets tulips, and she always says they are her favorite flowers. And how could he not know that, working side by side for so many years? How did he never notice this woman before? And that kiss, the one at the driveway, made him see Veronica differently. Shit, and he's married. Stupidly married to that young woman. He was lucky to fall in love with her, to be so young. Veronica entered the cafe with a courier who was carrying yellow, sunny tulips. Somebody likes these delicate flowers as well as she does, Veronica thought and smiled to herself. A bouquet of tulips in the fall, it's a miracle. Veronica looked at the courier with the tulips and envied the woman who would now be pleased with this miracle. Such delicate smell in the spring, reminding that spring has come and everything around is reborn and nature is blooming in exuberant color. They remind life goes on and everything wakes up from winter hibernation and women become more beautiful and men more active and children more cheerful. Life is boiling, but not now. It's fall October, the year is running out, as well as Veronica's life. But one but, which lives in her now, will still live and rejoice in the spring. Tulips and she at this moment decided to finally, no matter what, give life to the baby, who wants to live as she does. Veronica, Anthony called her and waved. Anthony's phone rang, he answered it, kissed Veronica on the cheek and said, "I'll be right there." Anthony was carrying Tulips with a smile halfway down his face. Turns out that's who they were meant for. So she was jealous of herself. "For you, Veronica," and Anthony handed her a bouquet. "I know you like tulips. I wanted to make you happy." Veronica took the flowers and brought them to her face, closed her eyes, breathed in the faint scent of spring and smiled. It had been a long time since she'd felt this good and this peaceful. She hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe because the tulips pushed her to the final decision to bear and give birth to a child. Or maybe it was because for the first time she had learned to enjoy life, to enjoy everything that was happening to her now, and to enjoy everything around her that she had never noticed before. This deadly disease had changed her herself and her life, and if it hadn't been fatal, Veronica would have thanked her. "Did I do well with the flowers?" Anthony kept smiling. "Not that word," Veronica said sadly. "I'm happy. Tulips in October, it's a miracle. How little is needed for happiness and yet how much is needed for it." "Why so sad?" asked Anthony. "We should be happy while we are alive," said Anthony with Veronica's words that she said when she kissed him at the entrance. "Veronica, your words, while we are alive, were so much in my heart that I could say they became my life motto. Let's drink champagne to seeing each other again, to you and me, to everything that's happening to us." If she and Anthony were truly close, she'd gladly drink to that. But as it was, no. "You don't even realize how close we are now," Veronica thought, and far apart at the same time. Veronica was afraid to tell Veronica about the baby, but today she would definitely talk about it. It was necessary to dot all the dots and in spite of everything, to live on, to carry the child and try not to die longer. "I won't drink," Veronica said. Anthony raised his eyebrows in surprise. "You don't want champagne? Order something else?" "No need to order. I can't drink alcohol," Veronica replied. "You're still hiding something from me. I felt it even then, at the entrance of your house. Veronica, are you sick?" "Yes, I'm sick, but that's not the main thing." "No, of course it's not." Veronica did not know how to say everything and not to be humiliated and crushed by Anthony, but she had to say it. "I'm worried. I don't know how to say it." Veronica nervously bit her lips, and her fingers trembled and her voice with a hoarseness seemed to Veronica not hers. She didn't recognize her own voice, but still she gathered her strength and on an exhalation said, "I'm pregnant." The silence at the table was becoming unbearable. The noise of the cafe had a life of its own, but at Veronica and Anthony's table, there was a silence that swallowed up all extraneous sounds. Anthony froze with a glass in his hand and looked not at Veronica, but at the glass, as if he wanted to see something in it. "That's what I wanted to tell you." Veronica broke the silence, stood up and got ready to leave. "Wait," Anthony said in an orderly tone, stiff as a boss. "And why do I need to know?" "You're divorcing Archie and you're pregnant by him, so what? So are you divorcing him or are you not divorcing him now?" "I don't understand." "I'm divorcing Archie, but it's not Archie's baby." Veronica was going to say it's his, Anthony's, but Anthony beat her to the punch. "Pregnancy is a consequence of your vacation." Anthony was angry. "Do you really think I called you here to tell you about a vacation pregnancy? It's your baby, Anthony. From that one-time affair we had." Anthony was silent again. Now he wasn't looking at the glass he still held in his hand, but at Veronica. "My child?" Anthony interjected. "You mean?" "I've already said it. Yours is no one else's. After the baby's born, you can have it nana tested. I won't consent to testing now. I don't want to risk it." "Waiter!" Anthony suddenly shouted. 200 grams of cognac and immediately, "I can't get to the bar by myself." The waiter ran for the cognac, and Veronica waited for Anthony's verdict. Having drunk 200 grams of cognac in one go, Anthony took a breath and said, "Veronica, you may not believe me, but if it's true, I'm glad, very glad of it. You know that with Kathy, we couldn't have children, and I foolishly got involved with this Angela. I would have continued to live with Kathy, but Angelica told me she was pregnant with my child and even brought me a certificate. I was happy as a fool, and she told me that if I didn't marry her, she would have an abortion. So I divorced Kathy and married that worthless Angela, who then told me that she had a miscarriage and would not have a baby, and then she did not get pregnant. I'd already thought that I was not capable of having children, and then such news. Anthony sat down next to Veronica, hugged her and said, "Let's raise our child." "Veronica, I'm happy," smiled the drunken Anthony. "Maybe I'm not so overjoyed. I'm just a little shocked." "You're married, Anthony, and how do you explain to your wife that you have a baby? A baby is not a bill of goods you can hide from your wife." "What wife? Where do you see the wife? She and I have nothing in common. She's not ready to be a wife or a mother. She doesn't study, doesn't work, takes selfies and sits on her cell phone all day. It's not like I have anything to do with her. I have nothing to talk to her about. I'll divorce her without regret. I'd divorce her without you. But our child will speed it up." "Wait, Valera, what about love? Are you serious, Veronica? Can't you see I'm sailing all the way to you? Or do you want scarlet sails?" Anthony smiled. "If you want, I'll organize it. And you, Veronica, are you willing to put up with me? I'd be happy to put up with you, and it would all be fine if it weren't for my illness, which led me to everything that's happening now, to you, to the baby, to the breakup with Archie. Valera, I'm in a hurry to live. I've had such a bright, full life since I found out I was sick, but it's probably running out. I have cancer, Valera. And my vacation has been so long because I've had surgery and radiation." Anthony was quiet again for a few minutes, but he didn't let Veronica out of his arms. "So you may have to raise the baby on your own. Are you ready for that? Ready to recognize yourself as a father and raise the baby, maybe even with Angela? But the baby's gonna be born anyway, even if you give it up. Angela's out of the question. She's the one who needs to be raised, and it's not my fault. Let her parents take care of her upbringing, and I, if anything, will raise my child myself, and my mother and father will help. They've been raving about grandchildren for a long time. Veronica, tell me about your illness. Maybe not everything is not so terrible as you think, because many people are cured of it, live a long time and died of something else. I really hope for this miracle. I will soon be a grandmother," smiled sadly Veronica. "How you like the prospect of living with a grandmother?" "It's a great prospect. Veronica, I don't worry about it. I've known you for so many years and now I'm sure that you're my woman, 100% mine, and I don't want others. I've had enough of young wives. So what about the disease? I have breast cancer. I had my breast and lymph node in my armpit removed. I got radiation therapy, and now I have to keep watching. Won't it hurt the baby? There are risks, but they're minimal. As doctors tell me, there are risks even in healthy women, but I and our child are under the supervision of specialists. I somehow believe that you and I will be fine." Anthony almost shouted, "Veronica, I was not lucky with my family life, and neither were you. But it's gonna be okay now." In front of the city courthouse, Archie and Lucy were waiting for Veronica. "Hi, Veronica." "Wait," greeted Veronica, still her mother-in-law. Archie mumbled something to himself and stepped aside for a smoke. "We still have 20 minutes before the court hearing. I want to talk to you. Veronica, you realize you and Archie are going to be divorced, and that's it." "That's what?" Veronica doesn't understand. "That's why we're here. You're at an age when men don't stand in line for you, especially when you're sick. Nobody needs sick people, and Archie won't betray you. He'll be by your side till the end." "I mean until the end. Who'll give you that proverbial glass of water when you're infirm? You can't divorce Archie." "Lucy, you have to understand, our marriage is obsolete and has been for a very long time. I only put up with Archie for Julia's sake, and now I can and won't put up with him anymore. I can get a glass of water from a nurse, so I'm not going to keep a whole hog around for a glass of water. How can you insult a man like that?" Lucy was indignant, "And Archie and I will not give our consent to the divorce, and the court will give a delay, and then the situation will change." "Well, first of all, you can't give or withhold consent to a divorce, and secondly, the situation won't change. I'm getting married to another man and we have a child together." The mother-in-law glared at Veronica, then squinted her eyes and laughed so that those who were near the courthouse looked back at her laughter. "You've recovered from your illness quickly, or is it gone and this is just a lie? Oh, Veronica, how could you get so screwed up? Poor Archie, what a monster he's been living with. Now, even if you want him back, you won't see him." The mother-in-law said proudly and went to her son. "Veronica, let's live together. Divorce is a matter of time." "No, Valera. Understand me. The child is conceived out of wedlock, and live with us when you are not divorced. I cannot afford it. what you want to think about me. But I pray, ask for mercy, and then I'll live with you in sin. I rely on God and on a miracle. I don't want to die. I really want to be near you. I really do, but I can't, Valera. I have to wait, and then I told you, I have no breasts. It's not easy for me. I'm afraid to scare you off. You're not gonna scare me off with that. Veronica, if it's important to you, you can get an implant, if it's possible. I've already consulted with an oncologist, but not now, Layer. I understand you, but you also understand me. Angela won't give me a divorce, and again, she invented pregnancy with a certificate. But believe me, Veronica, I'm sure there is no pregnancy there, and now I won't touch her. I want to be with you and our child. Only after we've consummated our marriage. With my pregnancy, you don't have to wait a month, you just have to divorce Angela. Or have you changed your mind? You tell me, I realize I'm not a full-fledged woman. Don't say that, you're carrying our child. That's what defines a complete woman, not what you think it is. I'm not giving up on you. Don't even think about it. Veronica did not know how to tell her mom and Julia, but as they say, the spoiled phone in the form of a former mother-in-law did not take long to wait, and she found out about everything in Veronica's mother and daughter. Mom, I know that Grandma can exaggerate and make up, but did she make up your pregnancy and that you are now a bride and are going to get married? Confused asked her daughter Veronica. Yes, Julia took her by surprise, and that's why there's no need for approaches and it's necessary to tell it like it is. She didn't make it up, answered Veronica. I am really pregnant and I'm going to get married. Why do I have to find out from Grandma instead of you? Mom, sometimes I think Grandma's right and you're in over your head. Do you realize you're seriously ill? And what would happen to the baby if? Don't give me that if. Veronica replied sharply, I'm fine in my head. Should I bury myself now? Lie down and wait for death? I want to live, I want to love, and I want to raise my child. Lesia, it hurts me that you're my daughter and you don't support me. I've only just started to live because of my illness. Do you understand? I'll live, I'll live. Don't be nervous, Mom. I'm realistic about things. What if? And if I die, the child will be raised by his father. I won't hang it on you, don't worry. Just let me live the life I want. Of course, if you've made up your mind and you didn't even tell your grandmother and me. Julia, I'm a big girl and I don't need anyone's advice. In support, it is yes, every person needs, but in advice, alas, I wouldn't disappoint you. I do not need, and I will live at my own discretion. When have I ever imposed my advice on you if you didn't ask for it? Julia was silent, as if trying to remember whether her mother gave her advice. Lesia, let's not accuse each other of anything, but try to accept each other as we are. All right, Julia replied grudgingly, but from now on, let me know about your antics, so that I don't have to hear about them from third parties. Veronica realized from the conversation with her daughter that her mother was already aware of her twists and turns, as Julia put it, and decided to call her mother first and tell her about the latest events in her life. How did you decide to do it, my daughter? Anna asked, suddenly, and the child without a mother. Mom, it happens and healthy women suddenly die. Everything happens, but I now so appreciate life that I cannot deprive her of her child, whom I already love. And I love his father, and I love you, Mommy. Do you know how happy I am right now? I've never been happier. It's so nice to live in love. Even if it's my last days or months, I want to live and be happy, to see my baby grow, to see his first steps, to hear him say mommy to me. I want to live and try to live long. I can't leave love early. Well, if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, my daughter, and I always support you. You know that, and don't hide anything from me, because Lucy said so many things that made my heart sick. Mom, you better not take her calls. You'll hear nothing but gossip from her. Mommy, it's Monday, wake up. Woke up 3-year-old Naomi. Veronica stretched, smiled, and opened her eyes. And now, a concert for Mommy, Naomi said and sang, Happy March 8th, Happy Spring Holiday. With the first flowers on this day, finishing the song she shouted, Daddy, and now come in. Anthony came into the bedroom with a bunch of yellow tulips like sunshine. Happy holidays, sweetheart, Anthony said and kissed Veronica. I'm not friends with you, Mom. Love. Am I? Naomi frowned. You too, Naomi, my favorite. Anthony hugged his daughter. You are my most favorite girls. Yay, shouted Naomi and jumped on her mother and father's bed. Yay, my mom and I are my favorite.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel, Like it, write comments if you like the story, and see you on the channel.